My name is Sam Ace. Join me on my journey as I create space for conversations with some of Africa's finest individuals, those who are shifting the needle through the work that they do. We shine a spotlight on people who are making a positive impact in our society. This is the new generation of business leaders, philanthropists, social entrepreneurs, influencers, artists, the list goes on. On this show, you will hear their stories, how they gained their success, what challenges they faced, and what lessons they have learned. This is Impact Africa with Sam Ace. Hi everyone, I'm Sam Ace and welcome to today's episode. I am so excited because today I'll be speaking to Ma Joye. Now, for those that don't know, Ma Joye's tragedy has not only inspired the continent, but the world. What started off as a tragedy has become an inspirational story, not only making impact here in Africa, but in the world. Ma Joye's most recent accolade was winning the Africa's Continental Award for Agriculture's CEO Global Most Influential Woman in Business and Government. Ma Joye, as she is affectionately known, is a social entrepreneur and the founder of Umgibe Organics and Training Institute. Her core mission is to eradicate hunger. In a recent interview, she said she will not rest until hunger is no more. Let's hear more about Ma Joye's story. Ma Joye, it's such an honor to have you here today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Sam. I'm really humbled to be here right
and
now.
And you look absolutely beautiful. I haven't seen you for so long. You look absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much. So do you.
Thank you. Thank you. So tell me, and let's tell our audience at home, who is Ma Joye?
She is a grandmother, a mother, a farmer, and a child of God.
I love it. I love it. And tell us a bit more about your story. Where are you from? How did this all start? Umgibe is such an important community project. In fact, it has gone beyond that. How did it all start?
It started when I got diagnosed with cancer in 2014. I found myself without a job. As a result, I didn't have money. I couldn't feed my family. So remembering that when I was growing up, my mom and dad were avid farmers. So we never lacked anything to eat. In fact, I didn't even know that you buy vegetables until I was like 18 years old. I thought vegetables were grown.
Yes.
And that's how I grew up. So when I found myself faced with a health issue and hunger, I remembered that at least I can do something about my hunger. That's when I decided to grow vegetables. And I just didn't want to grow any vegetables. I wanted the vegetables to be organic so that they could give me nutrients that were going to be able to assist with my treatment. And I then started to grow those vegetables. They were coming up so nicely and everything. And the next thing, one day I come out, they're all gone. Where there was spinach, there's just stumps. And I'm like, I cried, literally, because that was my meal. I could see it. And the chickens were walking away quietly, having had a feel of their stomach, leaving me hungry. And for 3 days, I couldn't come out because I was really, really devastated. Then When you are a mother, it's a different thing. The kids don't know your problems. They know that we are sick, but they are expecting to eat as usual. And you yourself, you need to eat. And the stomach has got no credit. Whether you are poor or rich, when it wants something, it wants something. And that was my dilemma. So I had to come up with a plan. How do I grow my vegetables without the chickens eating them? Yeah. That's where I would say it's God's way of intervening. Because I then thought, if I build something that is going to be higher above the ground, and so that the chickens do not eat my vegetables again, I remembered that in our cultural space, when I was growing up, we used to have something called umgibe. And it was a rope that you would hang. And then you'll hang your sleeping mats, your blankets, everything. Yes. And that helped from the termites not eating your grass mat. So your sleeping mat, because it was made of grass. Yes. So the termites my termites were the chickens. My grass mat and everything was my vegetables. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have much. So I had to collect plastic bags, discarded ones, to actually put the soil and the growing medium and put the seedlings so that I could be able to grow my vegetable once again. And it worked. Wow. It worked in such a way that I had more food than I needed. So I started to sell to my neighbors. And before long, people started asking, how do we also do the same thing? Yes. And by God's grace, these things expanded in such a way that today we have a footprint that goes as far as Uganda, that goes as far as Ghana. And I feel blessed.
That is incredible. Talk about impacting Africa. So what started as a tragedy gave birth to this idea that is now impacting your community, but stretching far beyond that to the continent. That is absolutely incredible. So at Umgibe, you work with over 3,000 households, providing food security in their communities as well. How do you do this? How does it actually work? This sounds like a lot of people that you're working with.
Actually, I don't know. We have several programs that we work with, and depending on where the community is and what their needs are, because we have to do a needs analysis. We believe that it's not a one-size-fits-all.
Yeah.
Sometimes as people that work with communities, we make mistakes. We think just because it worked somewhere else, we can bring it here. Sometimes you go to an extent whereby we think that because it worked in Kenya, it's going to work in South Africa. But we've got diverse communities. Each community has got its own dynamics. So we've got a program that is called Alternative Livelihood for Communities. We get there and we let the communities identify their problems so that by the time we work with them, we are working directly with what they need. You don't give a person who is not thirsty water. But if you give that water to a thirsty person, it serves the purpose.
Absolutely.
But if you give it to somebody who is not needing it, they might even discard it. That's why sometimes other programs don't work, because people are given things that they actually did not ask for. And you are not helping there. You are just, ticking the boxes. What I'm trying to say is that with Umgibe, we identify the need. And then that need is worked out with the community. And preferable, the community should come up with the solution that they think would work best with them. Because sometimes once you've done something, you identify something, then you think that this is going to work. It doesn't work. And then it becomes like the project has been a failure. But if you let people decide what they want, you can remind them. If it doesn't work, or if it works, you can give them the praise that they need. If it doesn't work, you can encourage them and seek other alternative ways of doing it, helping them, but not force some ways of doing certain things with them. I think that is what happens. Umgibe works like a candle. See, when you light a candle, even if 10 other candles in the house have got no light, if you keep on putting that candle on all of those candles, you ignite the light, and then all of a sudden there is this light all around, because that first candle had the energy to actually support others. Umgibe is that candle.
I love it. I absolutely, absolutely love that. You don't just walk into a community and start prescribing solutions that they may not need. That you're giving the community an opportunity to look within themselves and say, these are our challenges, and giving them an opportunity to come up with the response to those challenges. And I also love that you do a needs analysis for these communities. And so I just want you to maybe tell us, what are some of the challenges that you are finding in these communities? I know that you must work with thousands of communities. What are some of the common challenges that you are finding in these communities when it comes to farming and agriculture?
Funny enough, one of the challenges that we are facing these days within the communities is entitlement. The entitlement syndrome. You see, people have gotten so used to be given things, handouts, that when you come and you ask them what is it that they can do to sustain themselves, they don't understand. It becomes a challenge, because the first thing, if you come with the training, they want to know if there is stipend. They want to know if there's going to be food provided. So it gives you an idea of how bad the situation is. If somebody is going to attend something just so that they can feed themselves, they can have something to eat. But what is said about that is that they come with kids. And these kids learn that you have to beg in order to be able, things have got to be handed out to you. And then the question is, what kind of a society are we building?
Yeah.
What are we cultivating for our future, if that is the way we do things? This Kamisangtele syndrome is the worst thing. It's worse than crime. Because when people are expecting to be given things for free, when they are not given, they take. Those are some of the things that we encounter within the communities that we try to help. But it is not all lost.
Yeah.
Out of all the people that may feel entitled, we work with them. We change the mindset.
Yes.
Because it's about the mindset.
Yes.
But it is not enough to change the mindset of a few. The best thing we can do is to actually work. Those who have listened to me before would know that I like to talk about a jar of water, of clear water. And then you have this granule of potassium permanganate. Just one. You put it in this jar and it changes the area where it landed. We need change makers.
Absolutely.
In our communities.
Yes.
We need a granule of potassium permanganate. And if those granules keep on being added on that jar, a solution comes up. Solution of potassium permanganate, but also a solution because the change makers put the ideas together and they change their communities.
Yes.
And before you know it, we will have a changed Africa if we continue adding change makers in our communities. It's not about giving people finance. Sometimes it's about changing their mindset, changing the way they look at things, taking accountability. Because these days, we value our rights so much that we do not understand that having a right comes with taking responsibility and accountability. We might say that there is too much unemployment in South Africa or in Africa as a whole. But the question is, what part, what contribution are you making towards a solution to make South Africa a sustainable country?
Yeah.
That is what we ask.
Yes, and you gotta ask that question of yourself first, right, before we ask it of a community.
It starts with me. It starts with you.
Absolutely. I also love the fact that this is something that you are living out as Umkibe. It's not something you read in a book. You go into these communities, you are encountered with exactly what you've just explained, the handout syndrome, the entitlement syndrome. And you have obviously figured out along the years ways of practically helping people to slowly change their mindsets. What are some of the things that you are doing to do this, to changing the mindset of people?
We've got a program called Kid Power. It originated from the US. However, as you know, the US has got different lifestyles, the way of living. We are adapting it to our circumstances as South Africans. It gives kids power from a very young age. We realize that by the age of 7, a child has already developed the mindset. And if they are living in an entitled home, they are going to continue that way because they don't see anything wrong with it. So we are starting now. We are starting a kindergarten phase whereby we teach these kids that they are actually individuals. They can be able to do things. We are giving them power. We are giving women power. We are giving a youth power because if you give somebody a responsibility, you are saying to this person, I trust you with this and I am giving power over this. And in fact, I am a Christian, and I believe that even in the Bible it says that God gave us power, dominion as men, as human beings. So we've gotten that power taken away by fear of failure, by competing when there is no one else competing with you, but you set your goals so high and that you don't plan your things, you don't do. We teach people to plan. We teach people to understand that life is a school. You learn every day. You learn from everyone that you meet. You take something. So Kid Power is one of the programs that we are bringing to schools. As young as 3 years old, people should start learning that life is not a bed of roses, but in a good way. Not to scare people, but to prepare them to be a citizen. Our motto is that we are cultivating the future. As farmers, we cultivate everything we meet. I'm cultivating you right now.
Yes, I'm being cultivated. Please farm me. I'm really loving all the wisdom that is coming out of here. I love that you're starting with young people, with kids, starting to instill these values and these principles and lessons from a very, very young age. Now, your recognition doesn't only end here at home in South Africa. As I mentioned at the beginning, that your impact goes beyond South Africa. You are touching the continent, but you are being recognized globally for the work that you do through Umgibe. Your story is making an impact in all the countries. Tell me about some of the accolades that we've seen. I know that France recognized you as a business woman of the year in 2017. Tell me about how this is impacting the work that you are doing and the morale that it's giving Umgibe and all of those that are working with you.
Accolades are like the icing on top of the cake. I feel that I'm the most blessed human being. God gave me a second chance. And as a result, what I perceived to be the hardest time of my life has turned the tide, because now I know it was a lesson. It was a level of education in the school of life that I needed to go through, the exam that I needed to pass in order to be able to help others who find themselves in the same situation. When I went to Uganda, I realized that when I was saying that things were bad for me, I didn't know what I was talking about. Poverty has got levels. I thought I was really, really poor. But some of the places that I visited in other countries, I knew that I was better off. Poverty is relative. And that's why when I went to Uganda and saw the youth that was working there, I decided that I am going to give them permission to use our growing system in schools and in poverty-stricken places. It helped them during the floods. It helped them when they don't have good arable land that they could be able to use. It's convenient. It helps refugees. So I feel blessed because out of my experience, I was able to actually assist others. So, about the awards, it's nice to be recognized, especially because it brings certain, a certain level of acknowledgement that helps you knock in certain doors. And those doors, they open impact for the people. For me, it's not about money, it's not about anything. It's about the impact in other people's lives. Because I've walked on those shoes and I know how tight they are and how painful it is to be in that situation.
Yo, thank you so much, Ma, for that. Had to take just a moment to digest that, because hunger is, sometimes we can look at it as something that's far away from us. But everywhere you turn, you see it. And you are one woman that has changed the narrative, has changed the story, and has started telling a different story about hunger and how we can respond to it. You believe in the power of social entrepreneurship in South Africa. Why is this? Why do you believe in this so much?
Social entrepreneurship is misconstrued. People don't understand it. They think that if you are a social entrepreneur, you are actually a charity organization or, but it's not like that. Social entrepreneurship, I call it the soul, the heart, and the mind, because it encompasses everything. It embodies that. You want to be profitable so that you can remain sustainable. But at the same time, you understand the role you need to play in the communities that you are at, that supports you. Because your communities sometimes are your biggest, what you call customers. They buy from you. They support you in one way or another. So social entrepreneurship balances from just me looking at my ROI and catering for those that are less fortunate than me. I was blessed. I had 400 rand between me and my poverty when I started this. But today, God has blessed me to be able to do things that I never thought I would be able to do. So, we are all going to die one day. And I would love to be known as a person that changed just a few lives and be able to leave that legacy. Because there is so much we have, and yet we don't see it. We are chasing money. And there are people who just wish to be you. Even at your purest stage, there are people who are poorer than you, who wish to be you. And that is why my purpose in life is to stop hunger. Not just the hunger for the physical hunger, but the mental hunger, the emotional hunger, the hunger for knowledge. Because some people are capable of doing things. It's just that they need that little nudge to the right direction.
Yes.
They need somebody to open a window, if not a door. But so many times, we are told that there is funding. We are told that there is funding for this and this and this. You apply, Thousands of people apply. But there are so many barriers that are put in place, which is why Umgibe decided to become that market, to become that door where people knock and get the market and get to have to sell their produce. There is so much help out there, but it's only for the few, because even the entrance, at the entrance, there is locks, even though it is said that it is open.
Yeah.
It is like, for me, it's like somebody being bitten by a snake. And people tell this person that there is an antidote. But guess where the antidote is? It's on top of the tree, and the tree, this person cannot climb that ladder. And the conditions are that he or she should be the one that goes up there and actually get that antidote from the tree. How does it help that person to know that there's an antidote, but that antidote is not accessible to them? It's like food. The healthiest of food is not accessible to the people on the ground, but those who can afford. So, what does it say about us as humanity? What does it say about us if we prefer to have it all so that we can look at others and say, they are poor, they are not worth it? Sometimes you don't have to say it with your mouth. You just say it with your actions.
Yeah, and that's the reality that a lot of people are facing every single day in our country. And just going back to social entrepreneurship is you choosing to position yourself as a social entrepreneur rather than a charity. How challenging is it for you as Umgibe to get the buy-in of other organizations to partner with you? Because remember now with charity organizations, usually you get donations from, and you're relying on those donations. But here, you're running a profitable business. But you also need the collaboration of others. How challenging is it for someone in your position to get support from business, from other organizations?
It's very, very challenging. I'll make an example. Sometimes we need, companies need their communities to work with us, but somehow they cry and complain about how much you are charging them for things that they would normally buy if it was not a social, entrepreneurship business. They will cry, they will try to squeeze the last blood out of you. Sometimes I take those businesses, those projects, not because the company is paying me, not because I'm going to make any profit. Sometimes I even dig into my own pocket to make sure that that project works. Why? Because for me, it's about impact. It's about the communities that are going to be impacted. So what if the person gives me something that I'm going to buy all the materials and everything is going to end up there? I'm left with nothing. But if there is 50 or more, 30 people that their lives are going to be changed, if I'm changing 30 households, I know that each household has got more than 5 people, and by the time I multiply that, I'm coming with hundreds of people. So for me, that is more important than what is going to get into my pocket.
That's your profit.
Exactly.
But how do we change the mindset of business, working with social enterprises? How do we change their mindset in understanding that as much as they are a business and watching their profits, that what you do is also a business, and it's yes, it's making social impact, but you are profit driven as well.
It's difficult. You have to find people that are aligned to your vision. It's the only way, because you cannot take a horse to the river and make it drink if it doesn't want to. And people, they want to squeeze, they want to bargain as much as possible, because some of them, they are put in positions where they really don't care about impact. And now we are talking about impact. To them, it doesn't say anything. And I think the best way to overcome that is to identify like-minded enterprises, corporates that speak to your vision. Because when you are pitching or presenting, there are different whys that are answered. There is a why should I get involved with this from the corporate. There is why did you start this from a corporate that is impact minded. Because if you started it for profit only, that person is not interested in being involved. When you started for impact only, the person who is looking for ROI is not interested. So when you go there, you know very well, you have to know very well that you are actually answering different whys from different, which audience are you pitching to? So yeah, that is very, very important.
Wow, that sounds very challenging. And obviously being a black woman farmer, what does the future of female farmers look like in South Africa?
Suddenly, I'm very optimistic.
Yes.
Because we recently opened a college for an agricultural college. It's a private college, and we are fully accredited. And most of the students that have enrolled is women. So I am thinking that the face of farming is going to change for the better.
This is very exciting. It's absolutely exciting. So about the college, where do we find more information about that? And we'd love to share more with our community. It's exciting. Suddenly I'm optimistic about female farmers in South Africa. So where can we find more details about your college?
We've got on social media, we've got advertisements, and we've got on our website. And we also share on the spaces where we go. For example, we are going to leave you with some of the flyers, yes. And it's exciting because most of the time when people are doing farming, they have to learn theory and then go and look for a place where they're gonna practice. But with us, it's all in-house. You learn theory and then we send you to the farm to do experiential learning and everything. And that's what I've always been wanting to do, because these students, they school for 2 years, and then after that they go and look for in-service, and sometimes they stay for years without getting that in-service, and then they can't be qualified. But we have just started to solve that by saying that study with us and you're going to be able to practice what you are being taught. By the time you come out, you're going to be an entrepreneur that is in farming.
Incredible. That is very, very incredible news. And what is your hope for the future? What do you want to see in this space of agriculture, farming in South Africa, but also everything else that you've spoken about today? What do you want to see?
The future I would like to see is the one that I'm cultivating now. A future of children that know that without a farmer, there is nothing. I'm writing a book on careers, choices. The farmer is on top of the pyramid as the most important career one can choose. And the teacher is the second person, because without a teacher there wouldn't be any of those doctors and those revered careers. But having said that, I didn't know before that the farmer is the mother of most of the careers that people are in. If you are a pharmacist, you are a pharmacist because there is somebody who is growing herbs out there that are making those tablets, that are making those tinctures, that are making those pills, you know. If you are a doctor, you also fall under the same chapter. And if you own a restaurant, if you own a hotel, if you own every single establishment that has got somebody walking in, your career is based on that farmer. Because a chef can never be a chef without food. And food cannot be there if there is no farmer doing that. So if people study agriculture, South Africa would be a food secure country. Currently, more than 13 million people in South Africa sleep without food, or they eat only once a day. But what they are eating, it's not even nutritious. So the future I want to see is a food secure Africa, not just South Africa, but food secure Africa. If I die having not seen that, I'm hoping that the people that I'm cultivating today would see to it that it reaches that.
And you know, watching your journey over the years, from the first time I first heard of you and what you do, I've just seen how you have all this knowledge, but you have not kept it to yourself. Here's Umgibe, and now we're learning about the college, the book. You are just freely giving this knowledge away. So before we let you go, I need to know, why is this so important to you? Why is it important for you as Ma Joye to give it all away?
I came in this world without anything, and I'll go back without anything. So what is the use of me keeping all this information to myself? How do I carry on living and behaving like there is no other people? A person once told me that the most fertile place with ideas and everything in this world is the graveyard. Because people died without sharing things. People died being scared that if they share, somebody's going to take it. And they end up leaving this world without having contributed anything. So I share because I know that sharing is caring about the future. I'm going to be turning 60 next year. And I know that if I share now with the youngsters, with the youth, I'm securing the future. That's why I share.
Absolutely, absolutely incredible. I wish we had more time to talk about more of what you're doing, but so much wisdom, so much knowledge, and thank you for your time here today. And we just wish you absolutely all the best for the future. And we're obviously going to keep watching closely because we'd love to bring you back to the show and tell us more about the students at the college and everything else that Umkive is doing. Thank you so much for your time today, Ma.
Thank you so much for having me. I know that we've been trying to set up this appointment for a long, long time. I'm glad I was able to come. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Wow, wow, wow. So much wisdom. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode with the one and only Ma Joye. We will see you next time on our next episode.